Well, I wanted to relate a couple of stories as reasons as to why we started Healthcare Services International. I'm sitting here again in my studio in front of my computer, obviously, and the company, Healthcare Services International, it's a medical tourism company. It's located in Mérida, Yucatan, which is on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. It's a company that offers quality, safe, and affordable healthcare packages to medical travelers. There are a lot of companies that do this all around the world. You could travel to India or halfway around the world, spend 23 hours on an airplane, or you could get on a plane from Houston or Miami and you could be in Mérida, Yucatan in less than 2 hours. The flight's about 1 hour and 45 minutes actually. So it's close, it's affordable. The big question is safe. So before I talk about some particular reasons as to why we started the company, let me address the safety issue. A lot of people think of Mexico now as this crime-ridden, drug-ridden country. And that's in part because of the American media. And the truth is, if you were to travel to the border cities of Mexico, or particular parts of the West Coast where drugs are trafficked, then I would say absolutely it's not a safe place. But that's like saying the United States is not a safe place because of the crime in various areas. There are parts of the United States that are incredibly safe. You know, when I first came to Yucatan, it was in 1995, and I fell in love with this area, and it finally dawned on me as to why. Because I grew up in the 1950s and 60s, and Yucatan felt exactly like home, like where I grew up. In a small town first in Washington, Indiana, and then in a small town in East Texas. So it felt familiar, comfortable, and safe. The Yucatan Peninsula doesn't have the lack of safety problems that the rest of Mexico has. It is the safest state in the country, the lowest crime in the country. As I said on the first video, the crime level here is the same as Hawaii, which is the lowest in the United States. And the city of Mérida, and some of you may think Mérida, it looks like Merida, but it's pronounced Mérida. It has the lowest crime rate per capita of any city its size in all of North America. So it's not only the safest city in Mexico for its size, it's the safest city in the United States and Canada. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to connect people to quality, affordable medical care. And the reason is because we became so discouraged with the medical system in the United States. Yes, it's world class. Yes, it's wonderful doctors and facilities if you have the money. If you don't have the money, then you're kind of left out in the cold, sometimes literally these days. So we wanted to come up with something that could help people afford to get the medical care and attention that they need. So that's why we started Healthcare Services International. Some of the specific reasons, specific cases. I'll start with the most recent. I lost a very good friend 2 years ago. We'd been friends since the 1980s. We were both teachers together. I always called him Big Rick because he was about 6'9". He was a former basketball player from Indiana. Ended up in Texas as a football coach, and we became very good friends. When we both retired a few years ago, he continued his driving school business, but finally decided to just go ahead and retire from that also, and actually he was planning on moving down to Mexico here. And one day he woke up and he had a large lump on the side of his neck. So he went to the doctor and they checked it out, and they said, we need to run tests. They ran tests. He called his insurance company. They said, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. That was the first lie. Make a very long, drawn out, actually about 14 months drawn out story. He started treatment for Bartlett's syndrome cancer. It's a cancer generally related to tobacco. In his case, smokeless tobacco. He dipped skull for most 30 some odd years. The statistics show that very few people survive this type of cancer. Rick was sold a ray of hope, which was a good thing in many ways, by his doctors. So he started undertaking the chemo and radiation. And at one point the doctors said, well, this isn't really working. We have some experimental things that we would like to do that have shown results. So Rick decided to do it. He contacted the insurance company, and of course they said, no, we can't pay for that. So he kind of went back and forth with them and fought them a little bit on it and said, well, the doctor says. You would think if the doctor says something that your insurance company would be willing to at least give you the benefit of the doubt, at least try to help you live and survive. But they denied it, so Rick decided to pay for it out of his own pocket. The treatments were just under $9,000 each. So over a period of weeks, he went through pretty much most of the cash that he had on hand, around $100,000, and then he started going into savings. And of course, the result was the same. He passed away. But the thing is, why do you pay insurance if they're going to deny you the help that you need? And you could say, oh, yeah, but it's experimental. But it's experimental, but the doctor says it has shown results in your particular type of cancer. It doesn't make sense to me, and it didn't make sense to me. And I saw a man that was full of life eventually die literally a pretty miserable death, and was nothing but skin and bones when he was finally passed away. So that's the most recent. Then I have to tell you about a situation with my own mother. My mother had a stroke, and she survived the stroke, which was a phenomenal within itself. Less than 10% survived this type of a stroke, and then less than 10% survived the surgery. The doctors told her, don't worry about paying these bills. We'll write them off. Just get better. And I was impressed that the doctors were actually concerned with her health and not the bottom line dollar. She wasn't able to get Medicare and Medicaid because she owned her own home and a car and had a very small income, but a small income. So what she ended up doing is selling everything, moving from her beautiful home into a small motor home, and got rid of her nice car and bought an old junker, and to where she could get financial help. Because she refused to take it from the family. Her attitude was, you work hard for your money, I can do this myself. My mother was born and raised during the Great Depression, so she knew the value of a dollar. Unfortunately, she had a second stroke and passed away, but the system, the medical system, the insurance system, bankrupt her. Same as my friend Big Rick. When he died, he had absolutely nothing. He had planned on leaving everything to his nieces, which he loved, and left nothing other than almost $1 million worth of medical bills. I've had other friends in the same situation. They've had to sell everything they have. They've had to go into bankruptcy because of their medical condition. And it's wrong. And a person that works all their life, works 30, 35, 40 years, helps build the country through their work, through their tax dollars. They shouldn't have to live in poverty. They shouldn't have to sell everything that they've worked all their life for just so they can stay alive. And I'm not able to give a solution as to how to solve that. I'm not interested in the political end or anything other than the fact that people work hard for their money. People deserve to have a quality of life as they get older that they can actually afford. So Healthcare Services International came out of that kind of situation. Some of the prices in the United States have gotten so high that even with your insurance, by the time you do the deductible, by the time you do the out-of-pocket, the office calls, by the time you do, in many cases, the disavowed amounts by the insurance company. You pay insurance, yet they come back and say, oh, we're only going to allow X amount of dollars for this procedure. And the doctor really doesn't care. He has his fee, the same as the shoemaker, the same as Walmart sells something, there's my fee. Buy it from me or go someplace else. But the insurance companies seem to have the almighty power to say, no, we don't pay that. And there's not really any recourse in the United States. So by the time you pay all of these extra fees and doctor bills and out-of-pocket and drugs and your deductible, you could come up with thousands and thousands of dollars still. You have to refinance your house or take the little bit of money you have left in a savings or in some sort of an annuity and use it. And we do that because we want quality of health. So by traveling a very short distance, Continental Airlines, a direct flight from the United States, Houston and Miami, to Merida, Yucatan, by traveling a very little distance and paying $400 or $500 airfare, you could save thousands and thousands of dollars. Our website is www.medicaltourismyucatan.com. The website will be open the 1st of August and will be available to help you with any medical procedures. Whether it's a lap band, you are fighting a weight problem, we can take care of that. We have the finest quality of doctors I've ever seen. And I've seen this firsthand and through friends of mine here. We'll have several testimonials of people who live here, expats that live here in Merida, on our website. I want to relate one of them to you before I run out of time. Well, I see I am running out of time, so I guess we'll save the testimonials for another video. But I do appreciate you coming to our site. Thank you. It's Healthcare Services International, located in Merida, Yucatan.